The unexpected resistance. The void between stars had long been humanity's newest frontier. After centuries of dreaming about the cosmos, humans had finally broken the chains of their home planet and spread across their solar system, then to nearby stars. It wasn't the explosive expansion of science fiction. It was methodical, pragmatic, and driven by the same curiosity that had always defined the species. By 2287, human colonies dotted 17 star systems, connected by a network of hyperspace lanes that had transformed months-long journeys into mere days. The United Earth Federation maintained a modest defense fleet, protection against the unknown rather than any known threat. For nearly a century of interstellar travel, humanity had encountered nothing but empty worlds ripe for terraforming. That changed on a quiet Tuesday in June. The anomaly was detected first at the Proxima Centauri outpost. Massive energy signatures emerging from what appeared to be a tear in the fabric of space itself, nothing like the controlled hyperspace windows of human vessels. Within hours, similar readings appeared at the edges of 4 other colony systems. Artificial in origin, no doubt about it, reported Dr. Eliza Okafor, head of Xenoscience at the UEF Command Center on Mars. And whatever's generating them is orders of magnitude beyond our capabilities. Admiral James Harrington, a veteran of the Mars independence conflicts decades earlier, studied the holographic display with narrowed eyes. How many? At least 70 distinct energy signatures at Proxima alone, Okafor replied. Similar numbers at the other locations. The room fell silent. Humanity had prepared for first contact since leaving Earth, but nothing on this scale. They're surrounding us, Harrington observed quietly. 3 days later, they arrived. Ships unlike anything human engineers had conceived, asymmetrical constructs of gleaming metal that seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. They moved with impossible grace, their propulsion systems leaving no energy wake detectable by human sensors. The aliens made no attempt at communication for the first 48 hours, silently observing the human colonies from a distance. When they finally transmitted, it was simultaneously to every human settlement and vessel within range. The message was simple, delivered in flawless English, Mandarin, Hindi, and 17 other human languages. We are the XR Kethi Dominion. Your species has been evaluated and found unsuitable for continued independent existence. Surrender your worlds and technologies. Accept stewardship under the Dominion. Resistance will result in demonstration of consequences. You have 24 hours to comply. The UEF Security Council convened immediately. The debate was brief. Humanity would not surrender without understanding what stewardship entailed, and the tone of the message left little doubt. It would be anything but subjugation. We have 17 colony worlds to defend and a fleet spread thin, Admiral Harrington explained to the Council. If they attack simultaneously, we can't hold them all. President Amara Okafor, no relation to the xenoscientist, leaned forward. Then we don't try to. We demonstrate that taking any human world will cost them dearly. We show them that humanity isn't easily conquered. At the edge of the Sol system, Captain Maya Chen of the UES Defiant received her orders. The Defiant was the newest vessel in the fleet, a prototype destroyer incorporating the latest human innovations. While not the largest ship in the UEF Navy, it represented the pinnacle of human military technology. Chen was 34, with a reputation for unconventional tactics that had made her both respected and controversial among the Admiralty. Born on the Mars colonies, she had never seen Earth with her own eyes. But like all humans of her generation, she carried the legacy of her species' homeworld. All stations report ready, Captain, her XO, Commander Takashi Yamamoto. Confirmed. Chen nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The XR Kethi vessels will arrive in approximately 6 hours. Commence final preparations. I want all systems at 100%. They outnumber us at least 10 to 1, Captain, Lieutenant Asher Reed pointed out from the tactical station. Then we'll have to be smarter, Chen replied simply. Humanity has always punched above its weight class. When the Exarchethi arrived, they came in force. 12 vessels, each dwarfing the Defiant, emerged from the spatial distortion at the system's edge. They formed a perfect geometric pattern that spoke of absolute confidence in their superiority. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Sarah Mecki announced. On screen, Chen ordered, straightening in her command chair. The being that appeared was vaguely humanoid but clearly alien. Iridescent scales covered a slender frame, while 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, the words were perfectly translated. "I am Fleet Commander Zex Terrell of the Exarchethi Dominion. Your response time has expired. Prepare for disciplinary action as warning to your species." Chen's expression remained neutral. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth Federation vessel Defiant. We received no response to our request for clarification regarding your ultimatum. We are prepared to discuss peaceful." Discussion phase has concluded. The alien interrupted. Demonstration commences. The transmission ended abruptly. "They're powering weapons," Reed reported, his voice tense but controlled. "Energy readings are off the charts, nothing like we've seen in simulations." Chen's mind raced through the options. The Defiant couldn't match the aliens in raw firepower, but they had other advantages. "Initiate Spectre protocol," she ordered. Her crew responded immediately. Spectre was an experimental stealth system that manipulated the electromagnetic signature of the ship, essentially creating sensor ghosts, multiple false readings of the Defiant while partially masking its true position. The Exarchethi fired first, a brilliant lance of energy that would have cut the Defiant in half had it connected. Instead, it passed through empty space where one of the ghost signatures had been projected. "They took the bait," Reed confirmed. "Their targeting systems are attempting to compensate." "Bring us in close to the lead vessel," Chen ordered. "All power to forward shields and the DRT system." The Defiant accelerated rapidly, its revolutionary drive system giving it maneuverability that the larger alien vessels couldn't match. The DRT system, direct assault resonance technology, was among humanity's most closely guarded military secrets. Rather than attempting to overpower enemy shields with brute force, DRT analyzed shield frequencies and delivered precisely calibrated energy pulses to create destructive resonance patterns. "Dairy target locked," Reed announced as the Defiant swept beneath the massive alien flagship. "Firing solution ready." "Fire," Chen commanded. The Defiant released a seemingly modest energy pulse directly at the Exarchethi vessel's shield generator. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien shield began to shimmer and distort, ripples of energy cascading across its surface. "It's working," Yamamoto said, unable to keep the surprise from his voice. "Their shield harmonics are destabilizing." Before the Exarchethi could respond, Chen ordered a full salvo of kinetic penetrators. Simple tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds. Without stable shields, the projectiles tore into the alien vessel's hull, causing catastrophic systems failures. The reaction from the remaining Exarchethi ships was immediate and revealing. Their perfect formation broke as they scattered, suddenly wary of the much smaller human vessel. "They didn't expect that," Chen observed, a grim smile touching her lips. "They've conquered other species before, but they've never faced humanity." The next hour was chaos. The Defiant danced through the Exarchethi formation, using its superior agility and the continued effectiveness of the SPCTR system to avoid the worst of the alien firepower while landing precise strikes against vital systems. 2 more alien vessels were crippled before the Defiant itself took serious damage. A glancing hit from a Exarchethi energy weapon overloaded the port shield grid and melted through the armor beneath. "Hull breach on decks 4 through 6, reported Lieutenant Commander Elena Diaz from Engineering. "Emergency containment holding. Drive systems at 64% efficiency." Chen knew they couldn't maintain this pace. The Defiant was impressive, but it was still one ship against overwhelming numbers. Just as she was considering a strategic withdrawal, new contacts appeared on the sensor display. Multiple hyperspace windows opening, Reed announced, his voice rising with excitement. It's the Intrepid battle group. 5 UEF warships emerged from hyperspace, immediately opening fire on the XR Cathay vessels. They had been stationed 2 systems away but had pushed their engines beyond safe limits to reach the battle. The XR Cathay, already rattled by the unexpected effectiveness of the Defiant, now found themselves caught between multiple human vessels, employing the same baffling tactics. "We're receiving a transmission from the XR Cathay command ship," Mbeki reported, surprise evident in her voice. On screen, Fleet Commander Zex Terrell appeared again. The alien's composure had visibly shifted, its scales pulsing with colors that human synopsychologists would later identify as indicators of confusion and alarm. "Your resistance exceeds predicted parameters," the alien stated. "We will withdraw temporarily to reassess. This is not conclusion." The transmission ended, and the XR Cathay vessels began retreating, their formation now ragged and defensive. "Should we pursue, Captain?" Yamamoto asked. Chen shook her head. "No. Let them go and think about what just happened. Let them wonder what else humanity might have waiting for them." As the XR Cathay disappeared into their spatial rifts, Chen allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. The first battle against an overwhelming alien force had ended not in a human defeat, but in the invaders' retreat. The real war, however, was just beginning. Turning the tide. The XR Cathay withdrawal was temporary, as promised. Within days, reports came in from across human space, coordinated attacks against colonies and outposts, though noticeably more cautious than their initial approach. In the makeshift war room aboard the UEF flagship Everest, Admiral Harrington studied the holographic display showing the positions of both human and alien forces across 17 star systems. "They're probing our defenses," he noted, "testing our capabilities system by system." Captain Chen, now temporarily assigned as a tactical advisor to the Admiralty following the Defiant's performance, nodded in agreement. "They're adapting. The XR Cathay expected an easy conquest, but now they're gathering data, looking for patterns and weaknesses." Reports from the front lines painted a complex picture. The alien technology remained superior in many respects. Their energy weapons and shield systems outmatched human equivalents significantly. Yet in every engagement, human forces had managed to inflict disproportionate damage through adaptability and unexpected tactics. "We've intercepted and partially decoded some of their communications," reported Commander Liang from Intelligence. "It appears that XR Cathay have conquered at least 7 other spacefaring species in this sector of the galaxy. They follow a standard protocol: overwhelming force, demand for surrender, then systematic absorption of technology and resources." "What happens to the conquered species?" Chen asked, though she suspected the answer. Liang's expression darkened. "From what we can determine, they're reduced to client states. Labor forces, essentially. Those who resist are eliminated." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just fighting for independence, it was fighting for survival. "There's something else," Liang continued. "The XR Cathay appeared genuinely confused by our resistance. References to aberrant behavior and unclassifiable response patterns appear frequently in their communications." Chen leaned forward, intrigued. "They don't understand us. Every other species they've encountered probably followed predictable patterns, either immediate surrender or conventional military response. But humans are notoriously unpredictable," Admiral Harrington mused. "It's what helped us survive on Earth for millennia." Over the next 2 weeks, a pattern emerged. That XR Cathay would attack with overwhelming force, expecting to crush human resistance through sheer technological superiority. Human forces would respond with unpredictable tactics, sometimes standing their ground with innovative countermeasures, sometimes appearing to retreat only to spring ambushes, sometimes sacrificing positions to protect seemingly less important assets. The UEF military command structure itself bewildered the XR-Kethi. Unlike their rigid hierarchy, human captains and commanders were encouraged to exercise initiative and adapt to changing circumstances. A XR-Kethi commander would never deviate from the established battle plan. Human officers did so routinely when the situation demanded it. Captain Chen, aboard the repaired and upgraded Defiant, found herself leading a task force of 5 vessels defending the Ta City colony. Intelligence suggested that XR-Kethi were planning a major assault to capture the extensive shipyards there. "They'll come in force," she told her assembled officers during the pre-battle briefing. "But we have something they don't. Besides being crazy," Lieutenant Reed quipped, earning a few nervous laughs. Chen smiled. "Exactly that. The XR-Kethi think logically, predictably. They expect us to defend the colony directly, positioning our forces between their approach vector and the planet." She manipulated the holographic display, showing an unusual formation. "Instead, we'll position ourselves here, at these coordinates in the system's cometary cloud. When they commit to their attack run, we'll emerge behind them." Commander Yamamoto studied the plan. "They'll detect us as soon as we move." "That's the second part," Chen continued. "Dr. Okafor's team has been analyzing the XR-Kethi sensor technology. They've developed a jamming system that should create a temporary blind spot, just enough time for us to close the distance and engage at point-blank range, where our kinetic weapons are most effective." The plan was risky, bordering on reckless by conventional military standards. But conventional approaches hadn't worked against the XR-Kethi. When the alien fleet arrived, 15 warships strong, they found the human colony seemingly undefended. Long-range scans detected the human vessels clustered on the far side of the system, apparently attempting to hide among the cometary bodies. The XR-Kethi commander, following standard conquest protocol, committed fully to the attack, driving toward the colony with all vessels in tight formation to maximize shield efficiency. They never detected the hundreds of stealth satellites that had been carefully positioned along their approach vector. As the alien fleet passed through the prepared kill zone, the satellites activated simultaneously, creating a massive electromagnetic disruption that temporarily blinded the XR-Kethi sensors. In that moment of blindness, Chen's task force accelerated to attack velocity, closing the distance in seconds rather than minutes. By the time that XR-Kethi systems recovered, the human vessels were already among them, firing at point-blank range. "Target their propulsion systems," Chen ordered as the Defiant swept beneath the XR-Kethi cruiser. "Immobilize them first, then disable their weapons." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human military history. The human vessels darted between the much larger alien ships, using their proximity to prevent the XR-Kethi from employing their most powerful weapons without risking friendly fire. Kinetic penetrators and precisely calibrated DRT pulses systematically dismantled the alien fleet. The XR-Kethi, accustomed to engaging at a distance with superior firepower, found themselves outmaneuvered in close quarters. "They're attempting to regroup," Reed reported as the Defiant banked sharply to avoid enemy fire. "3 vessels are breaking formation, trying to create distance." Chen nodded. "As expected. Lieutenant Mbeki, transmit the signal to the Artemis." The UEF Artemis, hidden in high orbit around Ta City's outermost moon, powered up its experimental weapon system, the Gravitational Lensing Array. Based on principles discovered during humanity's early experiments with hyperspace technology, the GLA created localized distortions in space-time. The effect was devastating. The fleeing XR-Kethi vessels suddenly found themselves unable to maintain course as space itself seemed to twist around them. 2 collided catastrophically. The third tumbled helplessly, its drive systems overloading as they attempted to compensate for the unstable gravitational conditions. Within 3 hours, the entire XR-Kethi fleet had been neutralized. 7 vessels destroyed outright, 8 disabled and adrift. For the first time, humans were able to board a XR-Kethi vessel, capturing both technology and prisoners. The intelligence gathered would prove invaluable, but one discovery stood out above all others. They're not a natural species, Dr. Okafor explained during the emergency briefing with UEF leadership. At least, not entirely. The XR-Kethi are partially synthetic, biological beings extensively augmented with artificial components that regulate their thought patterns. Are you saying they're cyborgs? President Okafor asked. More than that, her scientist counterpart clarified. Their augmentations don't just enhance physical capabilities, they standardize cognitive processes. Every XR-Kethi thinks according to the same fundamental algorithms. It makes their society incredibly efficient, but also predictable. Chen finished. That's why they can't understand us. They literally cannot comprehend our apparent irrationality and improvisation. The revelation transformed humanity's approach to the conflict. Rather than trying to match the XR-Kethi's technological advantages, human forces deliberately employed tactics that would appear irrational or suboptimal to the standardized XR-Kethi thought processes. Strikes against seemingly low-value targets confused their strategic algorithms. Feigned retreats that violated optimal movement patterns lured them into ambushes. Electronic warfare systems bombarded their neural interfaces with data structured to create processing conflicts. 6 months after the first contact, the XR-Kethi Dominion formally requested peace negotiations. The being that appeared on the diplomatic channel was not a military commander, but a consensus administrator. But XR-Kethi specialized in interspecies relations. The Dominion has reassessed human civilization classification, the alien stated without preamble. Previous evaluation parameters were insufficient. New classification: aberrant adaptive. Status: unsuitable for integration. President Okafor, representing humanity at the negotiations, allowed herself a small smile. And what does that mean for our future relations? That XR-Kethi's scales shifted through several color patterns before settling. The Dominion proposes mutual non-interference, boundary establishment, limited exchange protocols for non-military technologies. In simple terms, that XR-Kethi would leave humanity alone. The peace treaty was signed 2 weeks later. The terms were favorable to humanity, including recognition of all 17 colony worlds and a substantial buffer zone around human space. As news of the agreement spread throughout human settlements, there was both celebration and solemn reflection on the lives lost. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and emerged not just intact, but with a new standing in the galaxy. On the observation deck of the Defiant, Captain Chen stood beside Admiral Harrington, watching as the last XR-Kethi vessels departed from the neutral zone where the negotiations had taken place. They'll be back someday, Harrington noted. Not as conquerors, perhaps, but they'll be watching us. Chen nodded. And we'll be ready. But I don't think they're our biggest concern anymore. Oh. She gestured toward the stars beyond. The XR-Kethi conquered 7 species before encountering us. That means there are other powers out there, some perhaps older and more advanced than the Dominion. We've announced our presence to the galaxy in a rather spectacular fashion. Harrington considered this. You think we've attracted attention? I know we have, Chen replied. The question is whether the next visitors will come as friends, having heard how we resisted the Dominion, or as something worse, seeing us as a potential threat. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. Either way, humanity will face it together. It's what we do. As the XR-Kethi ships disappeared into their spatial rifts, Chen reflected on how quickly everything had changed. In less than a year, humanity had gone from believing it was alone in the galaxy to proving itself against a technologically superior empire. Whatever came next, peaceful contact or new conflicts, humanity would approach it with the same adaptability, creativity, and determination that had defined the species since its earliest days on Earth. The stars were no longer just humanity's frontier. They were its home, and humanity would defend that home with everything it had. The end.